This week I will be launching a podcast titled Behind the Scenes about Bob Dylan's stealing of James Damiano songs. It will contain many stories that are behind the scenes, things that I've never really talked about before. As you know, I had worked with John Hammond Sr., the producer who signed Count Basie, Duke Ellington, Aretha Franklin, George Benson, Pete Seeger, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Bob Dylan, and Bruce Springsteen to Columbia Records. And I had worked with Mr. Hammond for 7.5 years. And then after he passed, I continued working with his office and his producers and Bob Dylan's producers for another 4.5 years. So it was a total of more than 11 years. And there are a lot of behind the scenes stories which I will be presenting in my podcast. Stories like the one I'm about to tell. I went to see a friend of mine who was playing the fast lane in Asbury Park. His name was Peter Myers. And he was being managed by a person named Alan Lewinter, who went on to work with the Rolling Stones, and he worked with a bunch of people. He went on to work with the Rolling Stones, but Alan was drunk in the fast lane in Asbury, and he was falling off the seat. And he was sitting next to me, and I picked him up, put him back on the seat, and then he'd fall off again. And at the end of the night, I said to him, "You need a ride home?" Because he was pretty drunk. And he said, "Yeah, sure." So I gave him a ride home, and I told him I was a songwriter. I gave him a couple lyrics that I had written. He remembered them. So the next day we got together, and he wanted to start working with me. And I came to find out that he worked with Don Kirshner. Actually, from what I understand and from what he told me, he was Don Kirshner's number one man. And he actually brought me to a concert with Don Kirshner, and we sat there and watched the band Kansas at the Capitol Theater. I believe it was the Capitol Theater, yeah, in Passaic. I used to go up to Alan's apartment, condo, on the east side, and it was a really, really nice place. It was like in a valley of high rises, and he had a deck. I used to go out there and play, and I just liked being up there. It was beautiful. At the time I was working with Mikey Harris, John Hammond's assistant at CBS Records. And John Hammond was the man who signed Count Basie, Duke Ellington, Aretha Franklin, George Benson, Pete Seeger, Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen. And I was working with Mikey at the time. And Mikey had asked me if I would like to audition for Mr. Hammond. And I called Alan, and I told Alan, Mikey asked me if I'd like to audition for Mr. Hammond. At that point, I realized how important it was for Alan, who wanted to meet Mr. Hammond really bad. So getting back to the audition with Mr. Hammond, I'd like to say that Alan actually came to the audition with me. But we'll continue that story tomorrow.